All right. We're starting chapter 9 on intelligence. Hopefully, you've printed out the chapter 9 and 10 test guide. And so I'll have that handy as we're going to go through the PowerPoint and through the test guide for section 9.1. So, big question, what is intelligence? So, the first thing there is just write down what you think intelligence is. How would you define intelligence? So, you want to pause the video a sec and do that. Really think through, how would you define intelligence? Once you're done with writing that down, then unpause the video and we'll continue. All right, so here's the book definition. Intelligence, the big picture. So intelligence is the ability to learn from experience, to think rationally, and to deal effectively with others. So maybe that's somewhat to you what you have. I'm guessing you don't have the deal effectively with others type thing, but we'll get into that at the tail end of the lesson. Achievement is knowledge and skills gained from experience. So there's a difference between intelligence and achievement. Achievement's what you've accomplished. Intelligence is more looking at your aptitude, your ability to learn, right? Not what exactly you have learned. And then a question moving forward is, should playing the violin or being good at football be considered intelligence? All right, different theories on intelligence. So this is Charles Spearman's two-factor theory. He said we have a general intelligence he called the G factor, which is like what your SAT test is designed to calculate. Then you have a special skills and ability he called the S factor. So that's just a very basic way of looking at intelligence. Then we have Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, and it varies how many, sometimes different books, different presentations, how many there actually are. The idea here, and this was big when I was in undergrad for education, is that he says everyone is intelligent in different ways. Some people are body smart, meaning they're athletic. Some people are music smart. They can play instruments or read music or whatever. You have people who are people smart. So interpersonal, they get it. They have a really emotional skills, how to empathize, how to speak well and listen well. Self smart means the ability to know yourself, to introspection, right? That was something that Aristotle taught. Linguistic, good with words, logical, mathematical. So obviously being talented at mathematics. Naturalistic, gravitate to all things outdoors, whether that's animals or growing things. And then spatial is artistic, but also the ability to see things in your mind. And so that's Gardner's theory, is that all children are intelligent, and he classified these things. So like if you're a fantastic basketball player, he would say that you have intelligence. Some people wouldn't classify playing basketball as a sign of intelligence. All right, so more on Howard Gardner. He proposes that the intelligences are mutually exclusive, meaning that each one is an individual gift. Maybe gift's not the right word. Intelligence. People are intelligent in their own way. Talents can be considered different types of intelligences. So he actually considers your talents to be intelligences. Not everyone does that. Oops, sorry, critics. So musical abilities and being good at sports are not really what being intelligent is all about. That's what the critics say. If you can play a piano well, doesn't mean you're intelligent. So being talented is not the same as being intelligent. That's the big critique of Gardner's theory. Right, Robert Sternberg had a three-factor intelligence model. So he said you have your analytical intelligence, so like what you would use in your academic courses, problem solving, etc. You have your creative intelligence, so how you deal with novel situations. And then practical intelligence, your street smarts. So you probably know someone you say is book smart, and what you're really saying is that they're great with academics, but when it comes to real life things, they make a lot of mistakes. Maybe they're the kind of the absent-minded driver, like super intelligent, but backs into the basketball hoop in their own driveway, or uh, drives away from a gas station with the pump still in the gas tank, or whatever the case may be. So there's an attempt here to merge these two ideas. You have like your book smart, but you also have your ability to handle new situations and your street smarts. All these things make up intelligence. Then the last model here in section 9.1 is about emotional intelligence. So Daniel Goleman said you have an EQ, just like you have an IQ. IQ stands for intelligence quotient, EQ, your emotional intelligence. So I have a graphic there looking at empathy and what that's categorized as in the note sheet there. Self-awareness, mood management, self-motivation, impulse control, people skills. So some of these things are actually being tested right now, right? You're trying to be self-motivated to do your online learning. Mood management. Yeah, everyone has good moods and bad moods. How well do you manage them to be effective? If you are in a bad mood, does it ruin your productivity the entire day because you're in a bad mood? Probably not a good thing to have. Self-aware, do you even realize when you're in a bad mood, or do you even realize that you're not motivated, or how much are you aware of your strengths and weaknesses? Impulse control, we all have impulses. Obviously it takes discipline to control them, and as you move towards adulthood, it's very important to learn how to control your impulses. Then people skills, in most occupations, or in many occupations, you have to work with other people. So do you have the skills to do that effectively? Do you communicate effectively? Do you do you know how to encourage? Do you know how to provide constructive criticism? These are all things necessary when working with people. So maybe you didn't think about those things as being part of intelligence, but I think now going through them, you probably think, yeah, if you're a super intelligent, brilliant person, but you can't communicate that to anybody, like you have no ability to communicate your knowledge to other people, or you're really brilliant, but you're not motivated. Maybe I went to high school with a kid who was one of the top scorers in our class on like the ACT. We took that, not the SAT back then. But kid wasn't motivated, and so he just didn't get good grades, and just made a lot of poor life decisions. So that's kind of a big part of what intelligence is. If you're really intelligent, but you can't control your impulses, you can't control your mood, these things can ruin your talents because you're not controlling your emotional part. So definitely something to think about as we introduce what does it mean to be intelligent. All right, another graphic here on emotional intelligence. So know yourself, give yourself, choose yourself. Um, Intrinsic motivation, optimism, consequential thinking, navigate emotion. So choose yourself just means you have to take care of yourself before you can be good at taking care of other people. If you run yourself into the ground, or if you're very negative, etc., hard to be motivating and a blessing to other people. The goal here is to give yourself. I just saw on a billboard a quote from Mother Teresa, something to the effect of, if you're not living for other people, it's not really a life, or something like that. Her point being to, part of our mandate from God is to love him above all and to love our neighbor. And so if we're not giving of ourselves to other people, right? Jesus said that towards the end of Matthew, if there's people who are hungry and you're not feeding them, they're thirsty and you're not giving anything to drink, they're naked, you're not doing anything to clothe them, they're in prison, but you're not visiting them, then you don't really have Christian love. So that's part of that goal. Anyway, this is a crash course introduction to intelligence. Hopefully you learned a thing or two, or you're starting to think more at least. That's what we're trying to do. Start the conversation. What does it mean to be intelligent? So, and this is was in your notes, so we kind of already talked about that. I mean, it's on your note paper. I kind of went through it a couple slides ago, so you can take a look at that. And there's Daniel Goleman himself. And we'll leave on that face.